Gemini, a mysterious presence is messing with your energy at home. You've always had a remarkable way of tuning into the invisible threads that connect thoughts, emotions, and spaces. Lately, have you noticed a subtle shift in your surroundings? Like your home has begun whispering to you in a language you almost understand, but not quite? The objects feel slightly moved, the air carries a charge you can't explain, and certain corners of your space feel heavier. You're not imagining things. You're not overanalyzing. What you're sensing is very real, and it holds a sacred message just for you. This isn't about fear, it's about awakening. Something beyond the veil is stirring, nudging you to pay attention. There is a presence, quiet but insistent, working through the very walls that shelter you. It's not here to harm, it's here to realign. And as someone who thrives on clarity, communication, and connection, this may be your invitation to explore a dialogue that goes far deeper than words. In today's message, I'll gently guide you through what's happening within your space and within yourself. Together, we'll decode the signs, understand the shifts, and learn how to respond with wisdom, grace, and grounded awareness. If you've been feeling out of sync at home, emotionally scattered, or energetically drained, this conversation will bring the clarity your spirit has been quietly seeking. If this resonates with you, remember to like, share, and subscribe so that more Geminis on this path of awakening can find their way home to themselves. Gate 1. The house is speaking. Your home as a mirror of your inner state. Gemini, let's begin with a simple, yet profound truth. Your home is not just a place you live. It is a mirror of your mind. A reflection of your inner weather, a sacred extension of your energy body. And lately, that mirror has started to ripple. If you've walked through your space in recent days and felt like something is off, you're not alone. Many Geminis are reporting the same. That sense of walking through familiar rooms, but somehow feeling like a guest in their own sanctuary. Maybe you've noticed the air feels heavier in one spot. Maybe an object keeps catching your eye, or a subtle chill finds you at the same hour each evening. These aren't random. They're signals. The first message of this mysterious presence is simple but layered. Your environment is trying to tell you something your conscious mind has been avoiding. Why now? Because you're ready. You see, Gemini, as a mutable air sign, you're constantly evolving, shifting, learning, pivoting. But that also means you sometimes leave pieces of your past behind without fully integrating them. Your home has been holding onto those fragments, unspoken emotions, dreams you've outgrown, thoughts that never made it into words. And now, something within you, your higher self, is rising to the surface, asking you to clean the energetic slate. That's why your home feels stirred, because you're finally aligned enough to hear what it's been saying all along. Here's the truth most overlook: energy lingers. It clings to books, to corners, to the silence between conversations. And for a Gemini, whose mind never truly stops moving, those lingering energies can become overwhelming without you even realizing it. Let's explore a few examples. You wake up feeling unrest, even after a full night's sleep. This often points to energetic congestion in your sleeping space, residual thoughts from old conversations, tech overstimulation, or emotional residue from a past relationship still echoing in your bedroom walls. You find yourself distracted more easily, bouncing from task to task without completion. This may be your physical environment mimicking your internal overstimulation. Cluttered corners, outdated notes, half-done projects, all of it creating energetic noise. You feel inexplicably emotional in certain rooms, not sad or happy, just deeply stirred. Often, these are spaces holding memory echoes. The presence you feel may not be a ghost in the traditional sense. It's your own energy asking for release, resolution, renewal. It's important to remember, this presence isn't external or foreign. It's you, Gemini, the version of you that has been quietly observing. The version that's grown while the rest of your life remained the same. And now that evolved self is saying, it's time for your environment to match who you're becoming. So what do? You listen. You tune in. You treat your home as a sacred ally. Start by walking through your space slowly, with intention. Ask yourself, where do I feel most anxious, most calm, Which objects feel charged or emotionally sticky? Are there items I've outgrown that still hold space here? What parts of this home reflect my past more than my present? And then, gently, without judgment, you begin to shift things. Not from a place of fear or obligation, but from sacred alignment. That stack of journals filled with old thought spirals? Consider blessing and releasing them. The decorative item gifted by someone who hurt you? Its time may be complete. That one chair you never sit in but always avoid? Ask why. What emotion lives there? This isn't just about cleaning. It's about clearing. You see, Gemini, you're entering a phase where clarity is your superpower. And clutter, whether emotional or spatial, disrupts your access to that power. The mysterious presence in your home is not rearranging your space randomly. It's guiding you toward energetic congruence. The outer must reflect the inner, and your soul knows it. In fact, some Geminis have shared uncanny stories. A photo frame keeps falling until they finally remove the picture of an old flame. A closet door creaks until they finally clear out clothes from a time when they felt lost. A flickering lamp that only steadies once they sit down and write the letter they've been avoiding for months. Coincidence? Not at all. Your environment is intelligent. It listens to your vibration. And when that vibration shifts, it responds, sometimes subtly, sometimes forcefully. What feels like disturbance is often a sacred nudge. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you start listening, it becomes easier. The communication strengthens. You begin to sense which rooms need certain colors, which corners need more light, which objects need to go, which rituals need to begin. You start creating not just a home, but a temple, one that supports your expansion, soothes your nervous system, and reflects your becoming. Because Gemini, you're no longer who you were 6 months ago, and your home knows it. This is your invitation to let your inner and outer worlds reunite, to cleanse without fear, to release with love, to redesign with intention. Because what's coming, what your spirit is preparing for, requires space. Spaciousness of thought, spaciousness of energy, spaciousness of self. And it all begins here, with where you live, with how you live, with what you allow to stay. Are you ready to let your home speak? It already is. Gate 2, emotional echoes, when unfelt feelings haunt the corners of your space. Gemini, you are the thinker of the zodiac, the translator of intuition into insight, of chaos into clarity. But what happens when certain emotions refuse to be translated? What happens when feelings don't form into words, but instead settle silently into the walls of your home? That is the heart of what's happening now. You may have noticed it already. A strange heaviness in one part of the house. A room you avoid without knowing why. An unexpected wave of sadness that rises when you enter a space you once loved. These are not random mood swings. They are emotional echoes. You see, Gemini, when feelings are not fully felt, they don't disappear. They wait. They linger. They imprint themselves into the places we pass through every day. And for someone as mentally quick and emotionally layered as you, it's easy to move on intellectually without truly releasing what was emotionally left behind. But your home remembers. And right now, those old memories, those stuck emotions, are rising to the surface. Not to punish you, but to free you. The mysterious presence you've been sensing is not only rearranging furniture or energy, it's activating a deep inner purification process. It's surfacing long-buried feelings that never had the space to be acknowledged. Grief you minimized, resentment you intellectualized, fear you laughed off, regret you buried in busyness. Gemini, you are one of the most emotionally intelligent signs, but emotional intelligence doesn't mean emotional avoidance. And this chapter of your journey isn't asking you to think through your feelings. It's asking you to feel them fully. Have you noticed memories resurfacing lately, ones you thought you had moved past? Have you felt dreams become more vivid, even strange, carrying emotional textures from years ago? Have you found yourself suddenly crying at music, art, or even in the middle of cleaning your space? These are signs that the cleansing has begun. Here's what's important to know. These emotions are not bad. They are messengers. And when ignored, they stagnate, both in the body and the home. But when acknowledged, they transform. They become movement again. They become healing. For example, the heaviness in your bedroom may not be about sleep. It may be about heartbreak never truly processed. The tension in your kitchen may be tied to an old story about nourishment, body image, or family meals filled with silent resentment. The discomfort in your workspace may stem from years of chasing goals that were never truly yours. The home is never just physical. It is emotional architecture. And right now, Gemini, your home is asking you to renovate your emotional foundation. Let's go deeper. Sit quietly in one room, just one, and let your attention drift slowly, gently. What arises first? Is it a memory? A person? A moment you thought you'd forgotten? Let it come. And then, instead of analyzing it, feel it. Breathe into it. Let the tears rise, if they must. Let your body shiver if it needs. This is not weakness. This is release. You may even find it helpful to talk aloud, to the room, to the presence, to yourself. I acknowledge this memory. I thank it for what it taught me, and I release what no longer needs to stay. Your voice, your breath, your intention, all of these are healing instruments. Use them. You might also notice physical responses as these echoes begin to move. Sudden fatigue, strange cravings or loss of appetite, emotional highs and lows without obvious cause. These are signs your energetic system is detoxing. Your body is catching up to your soul. Be gentle. Be kind. Be slow. Gemini, this isn't a sprint. It's a sacred walk back to parts of yourself you left behind when you didn't yet know how to carry them. Now you do. And here's the beauty of it all. The more emotional truth you allow, the more freedom you feel in your space. The home becomes lighter. Colors feel warmer. Rooms begin to breathe again. You sleep better. You create more. You connect more deeply. Because the emotional static that once blocked your connection to self has cleared. You may even feel inspired to write, draw, redecorate, or make symbolic changes, painting a wall, rearranging furniture, donating items with past attachments. These are not just aesthetic shifts. They are rituals of release. One Gemini client once shared this. I didn't know I was still grieving my mother until I found myself polishing the doorknob of her old bedroom. I cried for 20 minutes, then finally opened that door. Inside was the peace I'd been avoiding. This is the kind of revelation your home holds for you now. It is not haunted by fear. It is held by feeling. You are not being disturbed by something foreign. You are being remembered by something deeply, intimately you. And as you continue this emotional unearthing, the mysterious presence will shift. It will feel less unsettling and more like an old friend, a wiser, braver version of you, one that has waited patiently until you are ready to come home. Gate 3, Soul Connections, when the invisible becomes intimate. Gemini, as someone ruled by Mercury, the messenger between realms, you are uniquely gifted in decoding what others miss. You hear what isn't said. You understand the layers beneath a glance, the tension behind a laugh, the story inside the silence. And lately, the silence has been speaking louder than ever. Have you felt it? That presence in your home. It's no longer just an abstract disturbance. It's becoming something more familiar, more personal, more connected, almost as if it knows you. That's because it does. This isn't a ghost in the traditional sense. It isn't something foreign or frightening. This is a soul presence, a bridge between your conscious self and something far older, wiser, and more complete. A version of you that has walked this earth before. A guide you once knew and have now called back. A soul connection you didn't even realize you were missing. Gemini, we often think of soulmates as people. But what if your deepest soulmate is a presence, a frequency, a consciousness that arrives through your space? What if the energy in your home is gently preparing you for a reunion with your own soul and with someone whose energy is woven into yours? This presence is sacred. It doesn't demand, but it lingers. It doesn't shout, but it radiates. And when you're still enough, when your mind quiets, its essence brushes softly against your own like silk against skin. You may have already noticed its fingerprints. A sudden sense of nostalgia that brings tears for no reason. A song playing that perfectly reflects what your heart couldn't articulate. Dreams of someone you don't recognize, but feel deeply drawn to. A sensation at night, like someone is holding space for you, even when you're alone. These are the whispers of soul energy. It could be a part of your higher self. It could be the energy of a loved one who has crossed over. It could be a spiritual companion, someone you have known across lifetimes, making their presence known again. What matters is not what it is, but what it awakens in you. Gemini, you've spent much of your life translating the world outside. But this time, the message is inward. This is a call to reconnect with the part of you that remembers. The you who has always been whole. The you who knew, even in your loneliest moments, that love is never truly lost. It just changes form. And here's where it becomes even more magical. Once you begin tuning into this presence, you may find that your intuitive abilities expand rapidly. You begin sensing others' emotions before they speak. You begin knowing things without explanation. You receive flashes of insight that feel like déjà vu, but deeper. Your perception of time softens. Your connection to nature deepens. Your sensitivity becomes less overwhelming and more like a sacred compass. Gemini, this is spiritual intimacy. And it's one of the most profound gifts of this phase. Because in opening to this invisible presence, you are also preparing yourself for more visible soul connections, especially in love. You're clearing space not only for clarity, but for truthful connection. For a kind of love that sees all of you, your mind, your wounds, your contradictions, and chooses to stay. But here's the truth. That kind of connection cannot arrive while you are still fragmented inside. The presence in your home is helping you gather those pieces, helping you feel safe enough to receive what you've secretly longed for, even if you've never said it aloud. One Gemini client once said, "I thought I was losing my mind. I felt a presence with me constantly, like someone was watching over me while I worked, while I cried, even while I brushed my teeth. Then one night, I dreamed of a man with warm eyes who simply said, 'You are not alone.' I woke up sobbing. But in that moment, something inside me clicked. I've never felt more held. This is not fiction. This is the kind of mystical intimacy that's possible when your heart, your home, and your soul begin vibrating in alignment. Of course, not everyone will understand this part of your path. Some may dismiss your experiences. Others may question your sanity. But your job now is not to explain. It's to receive, to trust the sensations, to let the presence become a partner in your evolution. Here are some gentle ways to deepen the dialogue. Light a candle each evening and sit in silence for 5 minutes. Ask, "What do you want me to know?" Then simply listen. Keep a journal by your bed. Record any dreams, messages, or symbols that arise. Wear or carry something that feels spiritually protective, a ring, a crystal, a scent. It's less about the item, more about the intention. Say thank you. Often, gratitude opens portals. Humility keeps them pure. This isn't about rituals. It's about relationship. You are not being haunted, you are being guided. You are not being tested, you are being loved in a way that transcends this life. Let yourself soften. Let yourself receive. Because what's unfolding in your space right now is not just a cleansing, it's a reuniting. A reunion with your own truth, with the love that was never lost, with the frequency of your own soul finally humming at full volume. And as you continue to welcome this energy, everything else in your life begins to shift. Love becomes easier. Loneliness feels lighter. You begin to attract connections, not chase them. Why? Because you're no longer split between who you are and who you were trying to be. You are becoming whole. And your home? It's becoming a sacred witness to that homecoming. Gate 4, the sacred reset, reorganizing life from the inside out. Gemini, you are standing at the threshold of something profound, not just a shift in energy, but a complete reorganization of your life's foundation. What began as a subtle disturbance in your home was never about external clutter or haunted corners. It was the call of your soul, quietly insisting, it's time to reset. You've always been gifted with duality, Two minds, two mirrors, two ways of seeing every path. But this sacred reset isn't asking you to choose between them. It's asking you to reconcile them, to unify your inner contradictions, to bring together the thinker and the feeler, the explorer and the nurturer, the speaker and the listener. And that process starts, not in the world outside, but in the intimate architecture of your daily life. Your home is reflecting this transformation back to you now. You may feel the urge to clear out old clothes, papers, expired food, unread books, items that once felt comforting, but now feel heavy or unnecessary. Pay attention to that. These are not random urges. They are signs that your energetic body is preparing for expansion. You cannot step into a new frequency while carrying the weight of outdated versions of yourself. Every drawer you organize, every room you rearrange, every object you release, it is an act of spiritual liberation. It is your soul saying, "Make space for who I am becoming." But this goes far beyond aesthetics or cleaning rituals. This is about choice. Who do you want to be in this next chapter? What habits no longer serve the person you're becoming? Which parts of your life have been functioning on autopilot, and why? Now is the time to reset not just your environment, but your entire way of living. And it starts with rhythm. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what does your current daily rhythm say about your priorities? Are you constantly overextending yourself? Are you rushing from one mental tab to another, never truly landing in the present moment? You are being invited to create a new internal structure, one based not on productivity but on presence. Begin with small, sacred shifts. Wake up 10 minutes earlier and stretch while listening to soft music. Light a candle while making breakfast and set an intention for the day. Eat without screens, even if just one meal. Journal for 5 minutes before bed, not to analyze, but to witness yourself. Gemini, this may feel foreign at first. You are a lover of stimulation, a variety of quick pivots. But this reset doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to slow down just enough to hear your own guidance clearly. And in doing so, you begin to make different decisions. Not reactive ones, not habitual ones, but conscious, aligned, intentional choices. You may suddenly find yourself saying no to obligations that once drained you, walking away from friendships built on convenience, not connection, feeling pulled toward creative projects you'd abandoned long ago, realizing that your career path needs a new direction, not dramatic, but more you. This is not a crisis. This is clarity. One Gemini woman I worked with recently had this experience. After months of ignoring the tension in my home, I finally cleaned out my closet. As I did, I found a box of letters I wrote to myself as a teenager. I read them all, then cried for an hour. It was like I finally remembered who I was before I got so busy trying to prove myself. That night, I slept without nightmares for the first time in years. This is what happens when you honor the call to reset. You begin to remember yourself. And as you do, something extraordinary unfolds. Your home starts to feel sacred again. The air shifts. Light falls differently. Time feels more spacious. You begin to crave stillness, not distraction. Peace, not noise. You finally understand that productivity is not your purpose. Presence is. Here's the deeper truth. This reset is not just for your benefit. It's for every space you enter, every person you touch, every ripple you send into the collective. When a Gemini becomes internally aligned, your vibration uplifts entire rooms. Your clarity becomes contagious. Your words begin to heal. But it starts by asking, what have I outgrown? What am I willing to release, even if it once felt safe? And what kind of home, inside and out, do I want to live in now? The presence you felt is not just helping you reset your house, it's helping you reset your identity. One that is no longer fractured by people-pleasing, performance, or perfectionism. One that is rooted in truth, nourished by stillness, and guided by inner knowing. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to rush. But you do need to say yes to the process, the mystery, the call. Because the reset is already underway. And on the other side, a life that finally fits. A space that reflects your soul. a rhythm that feels like you. Conclusion, the homecoming. Gemini, you've just walked through a portal, not only of awareness, but of awakening. What began as a subtle disturbance in your space was never about the furniture, the flickering lights, or the strange sensations. It was your soul calling you inward, a sacred invitation to come home. Not just to the four walls that surround you, but to the truth of who you are becoming. You've opened your eyes to the presence guiding you. You've softened into its messages. You've cleared space for clarity, for stillness, for expansion. And in doing so, you've begun to realign every aspect of your life, your thoughts, your relationships, your habits, and your dreams. This is no small transformation. This is the quiet revolution of the soul, the moment when you stop surviving in fragments and begin living in wholeness. Gemini, you are not lost. You are not broken. You are evolving brilliantly, bravely, and beautifully. And now that your home is reflecting that evolution, you will find that everything else begins to rise to meet you. Deeper love, clearer intuition, truer direction. The journey isn't finished. It's just unfolding. And you are now moving through it with new eyes, new energy, and a deeper sense of trust. So pause here. Breathe. Feel the new frequency pulsing through your space, and through you. You are no longer waiting for life to shift. You are the shift. If this journey spoke to something in your spirit, I gently invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Let this become a sanctuary of wisdom and warmth, not just for you, but for every Gemini who needs this reminder. Your soul is speaking. Your space is listening. And you, beloved, are coming home.